How many of you brought your journals? How many? Oh, good. Wow, obedient Catholics. Look at that. Okay. Even if you didn't, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to write down in your journal, what are 3 ways that you can improve your communication, your way of being present with another human being in your family dynamics? Okay? So you can think of a particular member of your family, or you can think of the whole community of family, but 3 things that you can change, Keeping in mind, we're talking about letting the dynamic of allowing God's force field of love flow through you. What are 3 things that you can change? Okay? And the last part of the assignment is, what are 3 things that you can change in the dynamic of conversation in regards to your coworkers? Let me give you one example. Is that sometimes we can easily slip into office gossip. Okay? So we could write down, for example, all right, I'm going to do my best to start the conversation with something positive. Okay, that would be an example, changing your conversation dynamic. Or I'm going to do my best to remain silent because I'm an extrovert, silent longer before I speak. Okay, so 3 things that you could change in the dynamic of your workplace. Would you write that down? You won't be sharing this, so relax, okay? Relax. Now, this may not feel spiritual to you, but if you put those into practice, that would be what we'd call spiritual exercises. In other words, you are embodying what we just talked about for the last hour. You are saying, I recognize this is true, this is serious for me. So, you are creating, right now, your own personal spirituality by saying, this is a value to me. I recognize I need to improve this. When you start to do this, that's called a spiritual practice, spiritual exercise. Okay. Do you have any questions or comments or need for clarification about anything I said or anything we've done? Or not? Wow, okay. You ready to move on? You look like you have a question. No? Okay. All right. Let's move on. I want to begin with, sorry, I don't know the author who wrote this, but it's so beautiful. I wanted to share it with you as the launching point for the second presentation. If you would grow to your best self, be patient, not demanding, accepting, not condemning, nurturing, not withholding, self-marveling, not belittling, gently guiding, not pushing and punishing. For you are more sensitive than you know. Humankind is tough as war, yet delicate as flowers. We can endure agonies, but we open fully only to warmth and light. And our need to grow is fragile as a fragrance, dispersed by storms of will, to return only when those storms are still. So accept, respect, attend to your sensitivity. A flower cannot be opened with a hammer. I love this quote because it reminds me of one of my heroes in our tradition, St. Francis de Sales. His tagline, he's nicknamed the Gentleman Saint. And he believed that we draw people to Jesus much more by honey than by vinegar. The Dalai Lama says it this way, kindness is my religion. Isn't that what we say? That love is the core message of the Savior? Therefore, we are to become experts in not only receiving love, but giving love. What might that look like for us? Well, my father worked for a space technology firm called TRW. I don't know if any of you know about TRW. He was a quality control inspector. And he loved to tell a story that TRW stands for Thomas Raymond Wooldridge. These were 3 engineers who found the company, and they consider themselves the Cadillac or the Rolls-Royce of the whole space technology industry way back in the early 60s. They've since been bought out, unfortunately. But he was very proud of that company. And whenever the company on these special opening days, they would pass out like pens and decals and all sorts of stuff, the propaganda. He'd bring it home to us kids. For some reason, I really took quite a liking to one particular decal. And so from the time I was a boy, I put it up on, we each had these cork boards. You remember those years ago? Okay. Put a pin through it. And what it said was TRW in big letters, but in smaller letters it said, do it the right way. And that's not all. The end of the tagline was this: do it the right way, the way of, huge letters, excellence. Do it the right way, dash, the way of excellence. You know, so often as Catholics we talk about Jesus. We talk about the Bible, we talk about catechism, all sorts of things, the sacraments. But do we do enough talking about love education? What does it mean to love? When we experience it, oh yeah, that's loving. But as believers, how do we carry that out? How do we do it with an excellence? So people can say, wow, I can tell that person is a Christian because of the way they love me back. I'll never forget this one woman. She's talking about a friend of hers, and she said, I know she's holy. I know she's a woman of love, because when I stand next to her, I feel loving. I feel holy. What a great witness. Is there anybody in your life that can say that about you? I know she's a believer. I know he's a follower of Christ because of the way he loves. But so often we think, and I know there's reasons for this, but in this day and age, we focus all that love, we expect all that love in return from one's partner, or from one's child, or one's best friend. But I don't find any of that in the Bible. Jesus is speaking about a general approach to how we relate to human beings. How do we practice in appropriate ways to be present to the other with an excellence that's different than just being human? How do we relate to another person that says that, wow, my faith speaks through the way I'm present to this person, the way I speak, the way I act? Okay? So I'd like to share with you my symbol of excellence. Like many of you, I wrestle with mystery. I love to engage it intellectually, emotionally, physically. And so this is one of my favorite pictures, images, metaphors, symbols of God for me. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but this is not the only one, but it is a Celtic image or symbol of God. And the reason I like it is because it's not just a circle, it's a paradoxical expression where you've got, depending upon how you look at it, two fishes crossing over in the middle of the circle. And they've lost their singularity in their community. To me, that's what God is like. And what God calls me to do scares me. But I know it's what God's calling me to do. As Catholics, you probably know this. The reason the Church gives us particular symbols and guards them, because symbols and metaphors and images are the language of the soul. Concepts don't change people. Images do. And why any wise person will say, not here, let me teach you about Catholicism by giving you a catechism. No, it doesn't work. Or even giving the Bible, it doesn't work. Sit here and look at this image. Or follow this witness for a day or two. Then you begin to get it. Okay? So what's your symbol of excellence? What's your image of excellence? And I know it's not the only one, but what did you bring to share? And you're welcome now to stand up and find somebody else in the room, because you probably exhausted your stories with people next to you. Okay? So you're welcome to move around if you like. But those of you who brought your symbol, just go ahead and tell a little story about it, what it means for you.